The Ghost Writer, which apparently does not have a guy on a bike with his head on fire. They should have never named it this, but Ben's going to tell us more about it.
The Ghost Writer, also based on the book called The Ghost by Robert Harris, a book that I also read, a book that I finished, unlike Shutter Island, which I did not finish. This by Robert Harris. This is about essentially about a guy who is ghostwriting Tony Blair's memoirs. In this book, Tony Blair is named Adam Lang, but it is so close to Tony Blair that there was concern in England that there would be a libel action. And in England, they're very serious about that there was some thought that even that Robert Harris was very close to Tony Blair, that if they hadn't had that close relationship, that there might have been, that they might, in England, you can actually sort of, you can stop it.
Right.
And there had been some thought that might have actually happened. So it's pretty obvious that we're talking about Tony and Sherry Blair here, Olivia Williams playing the wife, and Pierce Brosnan doing a nice job as Adam Lang, the Tony Blair character. Ewan McGregor is the ghostwriter. He comes on after the mysterious death of the previous ghostwriter who dies on the ferry. I would like to point out also that in the other film that we reviewed, which you can check out on YouTube, Shutter Island, the movie opens with Leonardo DiCaprio on a ferry. This probably the biggest week in movie history for the ferry boat industry.
But surprisingly, no foghorns in this. So
yeah, not a
well,
foghorn.
it was missing.
So now we know that Cenk doesn't think it's a real movie.
No,
because
no,
there are
but
foghorns.
I don't. I mean, look, no. Is it a real movie? Of course, it's a real movie. But it felt smaller than Shutter Island.
Right, because, well, anyway, this one directed by Roman Polanski, and so Ewan McGregor hired to finish the memoir, started by by his predecessor, who had been a close aide to the Tony Blair character, Adam Lang, and in the process of writing the memoirs, stumbles on what may or may not be an Anglo-American conspiracy to, as we learn in the film, to kidnap terror suspects. That essentially the story, and the question is it true, and who's behind it? And interesting, and I thought impressive casting in the movie, which we'll get into as we talk about them.
And the director might be slightly relevant as well.
Well, I mentioned it's Roman Polanski.
Right. No, I'm saying as far as our conversation is concerned. All right, Matt, I'm curious. I want to start with you. What do you think?
You know what? This movie maybe went completely over my head, and I'll lead right off with that the tomato meter's in the high 70s right now. Reviews are still coming in. Most of the critics are saying
that higher last night when I looked.
It's dropped a bit, but most people are saying that it's, most of the critics are really, really liking this movie. It's probably going to get our certified fresh designation. A lot of people are saying Polanski is back. It's kind of a return to form for him. That being said, this movie went right over my head. I didn't care for this movie.
When you say went over your head, are you saying that the plot confused you, or you're saying I just didn't like it? It was just not for me.
I don't think that the plot confused me. It was more along the lines of, as good as the acting was, and I think that the performances were good, I just felt like it wasn't going anywhere. The whole middle of the movie, the second act, just dragged on forever for me. And I felt like he's kind of, the Ewan McGregor character, who, which I thought was interesting that he was never really named.
Yeah. He's just the ghost.
Just kind of, I never felt like he's really that passionate about getting to the bottom of things. I felt like he's got this kind of casual interest in what's going on. And then the big reveal at the end, I didn't think was that big a deal. I thought, okay, yes, if that was reality, that would be a big deal. But with all of the political sniping that's going on between the U.S. and England, and is Tony Blair a puppet of the Americans? Having the reveal be what it was, and I'm not trying to spoil the movie. I thought, well, yeah, okay.
So you thought the ending was a little schwang wang wang. I kind of liked the movie. I'm going to save that for a second. Ben, I'm totally dying to know what you thought, because it seems like we're all over the board on this one.
I did not think any of the acts dragged. I thought the book was excellent. I think frequently when you really like a book, and I really like this book, the film adaptations frequently disappoint. In our previous review, which again you can find on YouTube, for Shutter Island, it was a book I did not like at all, which is surprising because Dennis Lehane, an author I liked. So it was not surprising then that the film adaptation was better than the book. But here, I thought the film adaptation was everything that the book offered, and the author, Robert Harris, adapted the screenplay along with Roman Polanski. I did not remember the book being as funny, and I thought that the screenplay was quite funny. There were a lot of lighthearted moments from Ewan McGregor, from Pierce Brosnan, from Olivia Williams, from Kim Cattrall with a British accent. And then, of course, it turns out what I didn't really know, Kim Cattrall, born in England, raised in Canada, then went back to Britain. She's British. I didn't really see that one coming. Yeah. And then I thought in a really brilliant bit of casting, which is a real credit to Roman Polanski, who apparently knows what he's doing when it comes to film, James Belushi.
Oh, yeah, he was great, wasn't
As
he?
a bald New York publisher who I thought in his one scene stole the scene, nailed it. And I think, again, that was really a stroke of casting genius from Polanski.
And while you're talking about that, I have to point out Eli Wallach.
Eli Wallach,
who comes on screen, and I'm thinking, oh my God, they dug up Eli Wallach. And he was great. In the 5 minutes he's got, he was amazing.
A couple of years ago, the sort of weak, well, not weak, but middling romantic comedy with Jude Law and Cameron Diaz and the great, brilliant Kate Winslet and Jack Black, who I thought dragged the movie down, The Holiday.
Yes.
You know, massively elevated with Eli Wallach as an aging screenwriter. Eli Wallach helps everything.
Yes.
Always helps everything. Obviously, you know, great career from Eli Wallach. But, you know, I thought this was a political thriller, if not at its best, at its near best. And, you know, we had seen, I hate to keep referring to Shutter Island, which you can see on YouTube, our review of it, but, you know, we had Max von Sydow in Shutter Island, who I don't think we mentioned in the review, but I think every movie, I'd name a movie that Max von Sydow did not make better. Mm-hmm. You can't. I mentioned that in my Huffington Post review of it. Can't be done. And he was in one of my favorite political thrillers of all time, 3 Days of the Condor. This movie had, you know, again, it was Sidney Pollack, 3 Days of the Condor, Roman Polanski here with the ghostwriter. You know, the storyline's not that similar, but there is one thing that they do share in common, and I had 3 Days of the Condor feelings in The Ghostwriter, and that, from me at least, is a very significant compliment. It is, again, a tense and I thought complicated but totally plausible and believable political thriller that totally held my interest.
I'm kind of between you guys. I guess I'm closer to Ben. I like the movie. I think it really worked as a political thriller. I like the acting. I thought Pierce Brosnan actually did the best job out of the bunch, although, you know, his character maybe did not have the depth of some of the other characters, but I thought he played it really well. But you're right, Jim Belushi, in that very small role, really stole it. It was awesome. But it felt a little smaller to me. You know, that's what I was talking about before. Like, almost like you should see it on DVD. But I'm glad I saw it in the theater because it made it a little bigger.
It was smaller. I mean,
yeah.
It was
no,
smaller.
I know. And look, that's partly the budget. And so
most movies are smaller than Shutter Island.
I know. Of course. And it's not fair to hold the budget against it. But overall, I liked it. I didn't love it. I liked it. We'll do the ratings in a second, but I wanted to have one more conversation about it. Roman Polanski, should that be relevant in our? Because I kept thinking about it. Like, am I allowed to like this movie? Polanski's the director. Does that enter into the equation at all?
Well, I mean, look. You know, are you allowed to have Beat It come on the radio and like it? Yeah, of course. Michael Jackson was a musical genius. I mean, I've seen the police reports. I don't think there's any question he molested young children. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Mm-hmm. I think Michael Jackson is I think the evidence against Michael Jackson's offenses against children outweigh Roman Polanski's. I think they're both bad, but I think you can look at Roman Polanski's efforts as a filmmaker and obviously appreciate them, and I think you can listen to Michael Jackson's music.
Right, or, you know, to kind of bring another example into this, you know, Picasso was notorious for being an asshole and slapping women around, right? Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean he wasn't a great painter, right?
That's interesting.
You know,
I don't get Picasso either.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm ready to take those down from the museum.
All right,
instantly. Okay, no, I hear you guys.
Yeah.
All right, so in the end, you know,
what's interesting though, real quick, you can't help but watch a Polanski movie, and it's supposed to be set in Martha's Vineyard in Boston, and you can't help but think that's obviously not Martha's Vineyard in Boston.
I know, that's what I was thinking the whole time.
Right.
Where did they shoot it?
And
Where
by
did
the
they
way,
shoot it?
They shot it in Germany, and you know that he's doing post-production from prison. I mean, it turns
from
out
house arrest.
From prison. His prison is an alpine ski chalet in the resort town of Gstaad.
Oh,
but it's still prison, sort of.
Yeah. It's not my idea of a prison. But anyway, all right, in the end, I liked the movie. I didn't love the movie. 7.2 is what I went with. I was going to go with a 7.0, But you know what? We got the point stuff in there. It was my idea, so I was like, yeah, I liked it a little more than a 7.2.
Go with Ben, because I want to
Okay, Ben.
bring the score down.
You know, I liked it a lot, and I'm trying not to go overboard. So, but I gave it an 8. I think this is an excellent film.
Okay, an 8's a solid score.
Yeah, for me, that's a big time score.
All right.
I
And
can't
Matt?
say this movie was a complete waste of time. I guess my biggest reaction is that I was disappointed. I was expecting something more out of it. You know, the old school 70s era political thrillers, like 3 Days of the Condor, like Parallax View, I really enjoy. And I guess there was something about maybe the humor didn't sell me in this. There was something about it that just didn't sit right with me. And I got to give it a low score, like a 4.0.
No, it's crazy talk. Crazy.
You're going to bring that average
Oh,
down,
I know,
man.
man.
Aces, let me see the average. What does it come out to
Ridiculous.
then?
This is. Can we drop the low score?
I've ruined Christmas.
Oh, this is terrible.
The Swedish judge
Oh,
coming in
this
with a
is
low score.
outrageous. This is outrageous.
I think everybody's going to be all right. All right, that gets a 6.4 overall for The Ghost Rider.